Welcome back to PAX Unplugged. Jason Levine from the Dice Tower here with Mike Selinker from Loanshark Games. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. I always love my Dice Tower pals.
No, we love to have you. So it's been a busy year for you. Loanshark's done a lot of stuff in the last year. You did the Maze of Games. I mean, that's a little bit older, but tell us about that for those who don't know what you did.
So our first self-published project was a book called The Maze of Games. It's a interactive puzzle novel. It's really a game inside a book. And I have my friend Pete Venters, who's a magic artist, illustrate this crazy journey through these series of ever increasingly difficult mazes. And the point of the book is that the pages are in the wrong order and you have to solve your way through the book to put the narrative in the right order, right? And so that was just our first sort of, could we do games on our own project, and it just completely blew up. Everybody wanted it, and so we're just about out of our second printing. We'll be going back on it for another printing soon, but it definitely taught us that we could make our own stuff. We've been mostly known for things like the Pathfinder Adventure card game and Betrayal at House on the Hill and things like that, which are wonderful games which we love, but they're for other companies and they're basically their standards, and we wanted to make a few things. Not that we don't want to do those. In fact, we will do Pathfinder as long as Paizo lets us back in the building, right? But and same with Betrayal, but you know, we wanted to make some things of our own, that were how we wanted to make them, and so it kind of worked out that they're now sort of all coming out, and thanks to our Kickstarter backers, to all of our collaborators, the games are suddenly real now. So
before, obviously, you worked with, you know, Hasbro, Paizo, etc. How is it like with your own company now?
I mean, it's very challenging. No question. There are things that I have to deal with on a daily basis that I never thought I would have to deal with, and they're not always positive. But I have an amazing crew. We have a great office. We're downstairs from Penny Arcade. We have great play testers who come in every week that fix our games for us. We have incredibly positive buzz. I think people just want us to succeed, which is kind of a really weird thing, you know. I mean, it Hasbro, they're the colossus, right? And it's been so much better for us to get the fans interacting. We should say where we are right now. We're in the Loanshark library at PAX. It's 10 tables where people can come and play our games that self-run, and we've never had an empty seat. Because over on my left, Mike Krahulik is running Thornwatch, and Liz Spain behind me is running a designer game of Apocrypha, and so it's just been great to finally get to the point where people can get the games from us and play them themselves.
Yeah, I mean, this convention, like I've said, has been it's a very warm and inviting convention, and the fans here have been great. And you got to work with Penny Arcade very closely as well. Yeah,
on PAX Unplugged, so I run a little convention with PAX called PAX Dev, which is a developer conference that occurs before PAX West. And so I'm right into I'm often very much involved in the planning processes for these conventions. But, you know, they're not going to call me and say, we're thinking of changing PAX West or PAX East, because those are established things. But when they said, we want to do a tabletop convention, it was like, you need to be in this office a lot, you know. So they would roll out things like floor plans and what to do about tickets and all that, and I would say, well, here are all the things that other people did. Why don't we not do any of those, right? Let's try something new at this. And I don't know, I was expecting a lot less. I don't know why I felt that way, but I was really just expecting a convention that you know, a number of people showed up at, but it was kind of herky-jerky, and we don't know quite how the tabletop. No, people just dive right in. I mean, these are Philadelphians. They know how to adapt, right?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's saying, well, this is convention number 1, and there's 20-something thousand people here in year 1, and all I hear is it's a small convention for us. Like, this is huge.
It is. It very much is. It's much more intimate. There are no giant concerts. There's only a couple of stages. Mostly what this convention is about is finding the creators of the games that you love and playing their games with them, right? So everybody's here. We all have booths. We all have play areas. The company Read Expo that runs it has made tremendous opportunities available to tabletop conventions that they would only normally be able to give to video game conventions with a lot bigger budgets than we have. And so, on a technical level, it's great, but just on a vibe level, these people are awesome, right? Like, everybody who's come up, I don't walk 5 feet without somebody saying, "I love your games."
Yeah, I know. The vibe I get here is nothing but great, and the people are warm, and there's a lot going on. The gaming, the panels, it's really well done.
Yeah, Reed's really good. we underestimate, they run tons of conventions, but they're really good at what they do, and Penny Arcade just embraced this. I think it helped. Fundamentally, Thornwatch has a huge impact on this convention because they have a game that they want to have a home for. It just happens to be my game too, right? Like that's pretty amazing. But like when we started making Thornwatch together, we also started making PAX Unplugged together. Now I had a very small role in PAX Unplugged, but the two were always thought of hand in hand. The social media is very strong on Thornwatch at this show because we really want people to understand that there's now a home game. In the same way that Dungeons & Dragons had a home convention in Gen Con for many years, right? I hope when this game is out, it becomes the home game of PAX Unplugged.
Yeah, it's very interesting. How did it come about that you decided to work with Mike and Jerry and do Thornwatch? Tell me a little about the creative process in there.
Sure. Well, we were making Apocrypha first, right? And Apocrypha was going to be our main focus, the only game we're making, right? Everything else we're going to do for other companies, so forth. And then we got a lot of advice and got a lot of feedback that said, no, we really needed a product line. We really needed like a lot of really great games that were the kinds of games that our fans want to play. And so I was really open to looking around for something to do. Simultaneously, as we were thinking about Apocrypha, we moved into their building, and I knew the Penny Arcade guys pretty well, but we never been around each other a lot. And Mike had been talking on his blog, just sort of, I'm kicking around this game idea, and I walked in and I said, and it's like day 2 or 3 of us being in the building. And I said, so, I hear you have a game. He said, yeah. And I said, show it to me. And he said, I can't do that. And then he immediately says, you're Mike Selinker, like that means something, right? But I can't show you this game. And I'm like, okay, you can't show me it today? He said, no. I said, okay, you have till Friday. I'll be back on Friday, show it to me then. What I didn't know is he would literally spend every waking hour between that conversation and that Friday working on the game. And just getting it to the point where he could actually show it to me. And I played it, and with 4 Penny Arcade guys, Mike and me, and they were like really nervous what my reaction was going to be. And I said, I love it, it's great, let's do this. And I didn't say let's do this, I said I love it, it's great. And they were like, what, really? I said, no, there's some brilliant stuff here. It doesn't exist in any other game. It's amazing, let's play this more. And they took some confidence in that. And I said, but you guys should produce this game yourself. Don't give it to another publisher. Just make it and put it out and enjoy it, right? And they went, okay. all right, we're going to take this seriously now. We're going to go do this. And they discovered what it meant to be a publisher, and they went, oh my God, we don't want to do this at all. Right? Like they're like, oh no, this is way too hard. We can make a comic strip. We're good at that, right? We can put plush dolls and T-shirts. We can make those things, but making a board game is hard, right? So they came back to me and said, we don't think we can do this. And I was like, are you sure? I said, yeah, we don't think we can make this happen. I said, fine, then we'll do it together. And there wasn't a negotiation. It was just like, okay, we're done. That's what we're doing. And from that moment, every week, my team, which is pretty good, and their team, which is pretty amazing, got together and we worked on a game. I would say this is what I want. I sort of set the parameters of there will be no record keeping. There will be no looking down into a manual for statistics. Let's do what an RPG does, but take out all the boring stuff. And we just kept at it. And then, of course, I mean, the thing I can't do, I now have Mike Krahulik to draw it, right? Like, because he's so invested in the game, he wants to make it look like the game he wants to make. And so he and a couple other artists that I suggested, Lar D'Souza, Vivor, a few other people, Nick Trujillo, just got together, created this great jam session team, and made the most beautiful game that you can possibly imagine. You feel like you're in a comic book in the game. And so, yeah, I mean, there's this one conversation the other day where somebody said, do these numbers in this arrangement and these symbols look okay to you? And I said, dude, I'm the 7th best graphic designer on this team. Don't show me this. You guys come to conclusion and then show it to me, right? Because if they can agree on something's great, I know I'm going to like it.
No, it's very interesting. I mean, obviously you do a lot of RPG-ish type of games, and they like RPGs, and you kind of came together on this, which is working very well.
Yeah, I think my tombstone in the game industry is going to be something like, didn't know there were genres, right? Like, because I'm just like always, what if we mashed up these two concepts of like, okay, what if we did a tactical war game that is also an introductory RPG? Like, that's not a thing you do, right? And so every time we're trying to break new ground, sometimes we're off the mark. I mean, Betrayal didn't sell very well at its outset and seems to be doing fine just now, right? I've been lucky at some points with like Pirates of Spanish Main and the Pathfinder adventure card game to hit right on the mark. But I think the important part is that we keep trying to make something new that satisfies this itch to be dramatic and self-controlling of a game, while at the same time, being a serious game, being like, okay, we have to tactically understand it and do the right things and cooperate and teamwork and all that stuff. It's worked out really well, and I hope that with Apocrypha, Thornwatch, Betrayal, Pathfinder, Ninth World, under my belt, we've influenced the course of gaming a little bit to make story a critical element of the games that people love.
Well, I think you have. I mean, story is important, especially when you're doing these epic kind of games. So it's great that you bring a different idea to the gaming.
Yeah, I think with Apocrypha is probably the key example of that, where we made this game, this sort of system for the Pathfinder adventure card game, and people would come up to me and say, could you make an RPG that's based on the Pathfinder adventure card game? And I'd go, no. And they say, why? And so, there's this Pathfinder RPG. It's doing pretty well. Paizo doesn't want to replace it with anything else, right? But I always knew that the system could support being played as an RPG. So we made this Apocrypha game. I told the team, we're going to make a game which plays perfectly well against the game and perfectly well as an RPG, especially an intro RPG. And everybody said, that has not been done. That is not a thing that can happen. And we're just like, that's what we're doing. And so We have a full RPG that you can play with Apocrypha, and we have a full Against the Game, just jump right in, play 10 minutes into the game, and then you'll be done in an hour and it'll all clean up. And you can do anything you want at that spectrum. Thornwatch, you know, not really an RPG, but we bribe you to role play with mechanics and stuff like that. It's a great sort of, it's like, you know how when you see in the circus, there's the woman who's riding two horses, right? And she's got one leg on one and one leg on the other. That's kind of crazy, but it's still awesome to see. We're kind of that way with tactical games, card games, and RPGs, and it's worked out really well for us.
Yeah. So speaking of Betrayal, Rob Daviau just announced like yesterday, I think, that he's doing Betrayal Legacy. How involved are you going to be in the process for it? Are you letting him run it, or are you going to get very involved in the storytelling?
I wouldn't say I'm letting him run it. Rob is a is a powerful force unto himself, so nobody lets Rob Daviau do anything. But let's put it this way: they asked me to. So I did Widow's Walk after 12 years of saying no. I don't want to do another Betrayal game. I finally said yes, and we did Widow's Walk. It was great, right? I got to involve all my friends, including Rob, and on all the emails about it, I said it's going to have 50 new haunts. And I said, no one is on the design team, no one is allowed to say to anybody else that has 51, right? Never mention this, especially to Rob. Because the 51st haunt, the one in the back, you spend a year in the house, and it's Betrayal Legacy, right? It's a legacy game of Betrayal. And I didn't tell Rob about it until the day we released the game. And he wasn't allowed to look at the page proofs or anything like that. And so I wrote a blog about it and said, I did Betrayal Legacy before you did, Rob. And he said, son of a, right? And so let's say he has been kind enough to let me see behind the curtain, not the other way around. So I think it's going to be great. I didn't do anything on Baldur's Gate because I wanted, for the first time in my life, to open a box of Betrayal and not know what was going to happen. Because I have literally, every step of the way of all the Betrayal games, known exactly what would occur. And I've never had the experience as a player of, oh, what's going to happen? What's behind this door? What's the haunt going to be, right? So I specifically walled myself off from Baldur's Gate so I could play it. With Legacy, it's not quite like that, but it's definitely going to be all Rob all the time because he's the man. You couldn't be happier having, like, if they'd come to me and said, we want you to do Betrayal Legacy, I would have said no, can't do it without Rob. And so I'm glad I get to see it as it's going forward.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be very interesting. Oh, and all of your stuff is very interesting. Apocrypha, which is out now, and Thornwatch coming out very soon.
So the Apocrypha The World, which is this box here, debuted at Gen Con. We have it here. It's selling really well. It's great. The Ninth World actually will come out between the two of those. We didn't really mention that. That's our game with Monty Cook Games, set 1 billion years in the future. Also can be played both cooperatively and competitively. So that'll come out next. And then Thornwatch sometime in the first half of next year. We have to go through a really seriously difficult process to get it to a printable form. So I don't know when people are going to get it exactly, but I can tell from this convention that people are incredibly excited about it, and it's going to be one of our biggest games.
Yeah, I mean, you have the host of the convention happen to be co-designers of it, so that definitely will help, and it will be a big part of this convention, like you said.
And I mean, yeah, it was part of the reason I really wanted to do it. I mean, I love the game, I love the intellectual property, I love the talent that I get to work with, but also these guys are really good logistically. Like, all these guys have a great fan base. They have conventions. They have a mail-in order site. They have a wonderful social media. Like, they get it. They're a 21st century company. I love The laughter you just heard over there is Mike Krolik's game. I love working with Hasbro, but Hasbro came, was a 20th century company that's had to learn the 20th century methodologies. These guys just started in the 20th century, 21st century, right? They just got it right out of the gate, and so they have been an absolute joy to work with, and also are so committed to making this a success. They are not going to let it fail. And so if the fact that we have lines of people that want to play and we can't get them into games here, wait till we actually have the game, right? Wait till it's not photocopied. I think it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing it. I hear I'm going to get to play it on the cruise in like another week or whenever this interview comes out, maybe in another few days.
Yeah, Marie's going down on the cruise, taking our best looking set with her. I want to go sometime. I've heard great things about the Dice Tower cruise. I definitely want to come to Dice Tower Con. I've never been to that. You and I were talking about maybe a way we make that work later or earlier, which is great. So yeah, I'd love to be part of the greater part of the Dice Tower community. I think it's going to be really good. You guys have been so nice to my stuff. Like, I mean, Eric Summers praise and all that. I don't know. I love you guys, man. I love you guys.
Well, when you do good stuff, it's easy to praise it.
Appreciate that. It's really nice to have.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, Mike. It was a pleasure to have you as always.
Yeah, anytime you guys want.
Thanks. Again, Mike Selinker, Loanshark Games, and this is Jason Levine with another Dice Tower interview from out here at PAX Unplugged.